Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a 5-star review. I'm Chierstin Susel here with Johnny Venerable, Frank Sanders. I feel like this is a feel-good Friday, right? We got some big, exciting news today about J.J. Watt. Fridays are always fun because we're heading into the weekend. We got Frank with a remote setup. Everybody's feeling good right now.
Frank, it's great to see you inside your home and not at a golf course attempting to steal their Wi-Fi. In all seriousness,
I'm actually disappointed that I'm still. I would love to give you guys that view I had the last time. We were sitting at. I was at what golf course was I at? I was at Coco Pelli Golf Course over in the Chandler, Phoenix area, and look, this is the view right here from one of the parts of my house. It's not a big deal. I'm glad to see you guys.
Is that you on the wall, Frank?
That is me. That's a Senior Bowl picture right there. That other way. That's a Senior Bowl picture right there. I got back in '95 when I went to the Senior Bowl. Had a chance to go out and show what I was able to do. They thought Let's talk. Okay, I was up for the Biletnikoff Award. I went to the Blue and Gray game. After the Blue and Gray game, out of Montgomery, Alabama, there was a moment where I got invited to the Senior Bowl. Excuse me, y'all. Once I got invited to the Senior Bowl, then it was up to me to go prove myself. I didn't win the Biletnikoff Award. Bobby Ingram out of Penn State won that. I came in second place. It was me, Jet Jackson, and Bobby Ingram. But once I got to the Senior Bowl, it was all the DBs in the country wanted to go against me because I was the name receiver. And I worked them.
You're the standard.
I worked them. Bottom line, I worked them like I put work on them. Not even going to trip. Not, no horn tooting right here, but I put the work on them. And but it was good for a lot of guys because guys needed to be seen and they wanted to be exposed to could they cover a big receiver. And a lot of guys got an opportunity to do that, and it was a good moment. So, yeah, that's a Senior Bowl picture right there.
Well, we love to see that. Yeah. And speaking of work, J.J. Watt put in some big-time work to be able to get back on the field. The Cardinals announcing today that he is officially designated for return off IR, which means he can start practicing again. And at any point within the next 21 days, he can be added to the 53-man roster. He is not going to play this weekend. For anybody that was hoping that all of a sudden we would see him back against the Seahawks to close out the regular season. Not going to happen, but he could return as early as next weekend. And listen, guys, he tore his labrum, his bicep, his rotator cuff, and dislocated his shoulder back in October. He accelerated his rehab like we haven't seen before. And, hey, he set out to accomplish what he wanted to do, which was make a return for the playoffs, and we are pumped up about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was under the impression in October his season would be done, and then November we started hearing some rumblings that maybe he was going to put off surgery, and then he had surgery, and then you started to hear some of these timelines being told by Steve Keim and people in the know that I wouldn't count him out just yet. And when I was in Chicago, I mean, he went through a pretty rigorous pregame workout. That was in early December. He looked incredibly nimble. It didn't look like he had any limitations with his upper body. Again, Chierstin, you outlined the plethora of injuries that he had been under. And the more and more information we got, Chierstin, we've talked about it several times. I thought the target time was week 18. So I was off by 1 week. I said, might as well try to get him activated so he can get some reps in a live game against Seattle. And then we didn't hear anything this week, right? And they brought back, his name escapes me, but somebody else off the injured reserve. And I said, oh, are we led to believe that maybe JJ isn't coming back? And then lo and behold, it kind of was snuck out there by some national reporters this morning that he would be activated to practice. He's off of IR, to your point, Chierstin. He can practice in the next 21 days. It sounds like he's practiced today. To some degree, he's been working with Zach Allen a lot. And I would be shocked at this point if he wasn't suited up and playing wild card round. He'll get a full week of practice next week. And goodness, what a jolt of energy, of passion, enthusiasm for this Cardinal team. Even if we're getting J.J. Watt 75%, snap count limited, the Cardinals' weakest position unit on this team is their defensive line. Watt was dominant before he got injured. Huge lift to this team, and I think really makes things interesting now in the NFC.
A credit to his ability to want to not go on IR and believe that this is the season that could be something absolutely very special for himself personally, and also just coming to a new team as with the Arizona Cardinals and believing that they can get to the Super Bowl and potentially win the whole thing. And he believes in himself that much that he decided not to go on IR, and believing the guys that are around him that they had the power to still get to the playoffs and give themselves a chance. So kudos to JJ on himself in that regards. The Cardinals medical team and their staff, the ability to give him the information that he needed to know, whether he went and got two or the second and third opinions, still shows that he was confident in what they was able to give to him, and to believe that this team had enough quality talent that the decision he made in the offseason was the right one. Second of all, not only that, was that he bet on himself that he could get healthy enough to be ready to go and get ready to go for the playoffs, and also probably help this team get over the hump, which is needed when you need a veteran voice and leadership. And he's one of the guys that the locker room has given him that platform with the ability to speak to those guys. And that's good that he was able to bet on himself, and as well the medical team was able to give him the information that they needed.
Do you guys remember after the Texans game, it was the short week, the Packers game, and afterwards, one of the big storylines, I mean, obviously with the way it ended with AJ Green, it was what it was, but one of the bigger storylines that we were all talking about was the team just sort of seemed a little flat. And we were wondering if they had taken an emotional hit after losing one of their leaders. And I hope that this has the opposite effect. The team has talked all year long about, JJ has not been practicing with the team, obviously, but he's still been out at practice doing his own drills and rehab in the weight room, et cetera. And so the team has been able to see him work off to the side this entire time. Again, knowing how bad that injury was, to see a guy so eager to take charge of and accelerate his rehab, work off to the side. He never misses a day, does it all the right way. That, in my opinion, has inspired the team to be able to look off and to the side, to be able to talk to him on the sidelines. He still shows up to the games and has been a vocal leader on the sidelines as much as possible. It does his pregame warmups that are, incredibly motivating. He gets still involved with fans, was playing catch with fans in the stands. And, he does everything the right way. And I hope that this has the opposite effect than what we saw the team, what we think took a hit emotionally in his absence. I hope that when he does step back on the field, that not only helps them from an X's and O's standpoint, but just an emotional standpoint of just being so jacked up to have that guy back on the field.
Yeah, I totally agree, Chierstin. I think the national outlets, the fan bases that are outside of the Valley kind of roll their eyes at, J.J. Watt, another comeback. He's hurt. He's not hurt. But what I can tell you definitively is that this team was 7-0 with him and flat out dominant in most games. And he had large stretches that did J.J. Watt where he didn't have the benefit of playing with Chandler Jones. The last time we saw J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones play together, and I put this in my article at gophnx.com today, was that first meeting against Trey Lance at State Farm Stadium. And how poetic would it be if, when they roll it back, those two fearsome pass rushers, first round of the playoffs, that could be a repeat performance. But, it goes to that week where they lost Watt and then had that Thursday night loss to the Green Bay Packers. It was deflating. This team has basically played 500 football since his absence. And look, it's been good enough to get them in the playoffs. But I don't think anybody is doubting the fact that if J.J. Watt had been healthy all season, I know it's a big if, I still think the Cardinals would have run away with the division. You would not have anything to the effect of the Lions loss, right? The fact that they looked so out of sync against the Colts. What will be the lightning rod for this team? We talk about Kyler Murray, his leadership, a little bit of an introvert. He's growing into his own. It's going to be J.J. Watt, number 99, rallying this team on the sideline, leading them out of the tunnel, because that was the formula that worked over the first half of the season. And goodness, if they're able with Watt to pick up where they left off, really defensively, outside of a couple injuries at corner that, hopefully Marco Wilson's back, we'll see about Rashawn Breeland. There's no excuse for this defense to dominate in the postseason. Offensively, it's the Kyler Murray show, but defensively now, they have the horses equipped for a long postseason run. I'm not sure if that was the case before this news. I honestly don't.
The most meaningful thing that can happen is that when a young player sees a guy willing to sacrifice himself, and then yet you stay connected to the team, that technically you're still going to get the full 0.9 million. You've already got the 20 million. So once they tell you on IR, you could shut it down. But guess what, man? I said again, kudos to the homie, man, because like J-Dub just got it. Like, when you love this game, you want to play this game, he's showing that. Like he stayed connected. Like, before you could see guys not want to talk, or they'll be up in the stands or somewhere eating popcorns, or probably not even on the plane on the travel. He did everything he needed to do to keep these guys believing that 99 came here for one reason, and that's to win a championship.
That's right.
I'm showing you guys what championship looks like. The sacrifice. If I just got one game, I'm willing to give you that one game. The money is the money. I'm not worried about that. I'm here for a championship. And if I could just give you one game, and if Mike or Steve can still believe in me without changing that roster spot, going to get somebody else that could potentially take that spot away from me, man, that is all I needed to see. And he makes me a believer. That's one of the things that's special about the NFL, is that when you meet certain guys that channel something in you, you just feel like you could run through a wall, or you don't want to drop a ball, or you want to be alert for every play, or you want to be on time. I'm going to give you 4 quarters of football. That changes the dynamics of everything, the attitude and the atmosphere in the locker room, the organization, the management, because they believe they have a winner. And when you understand what a winner looks like, you don't want to lose that. And I'm a young guy. I see JJ doing what he's supposed to do. I'm all in, and I'm looking to get us to that position of being in the playoffs, so I can see him go out with a blaze of glory. If this is his last year, if it's not, but just a season, because you only get 1 year. After that, you figure out what happens after that.
So to clarify, JJ has done pretty much everything he can in rehab, in the weight room, and he's going to get back to practice. He wasn't out there during the open portion today, but we believe, especially judging by social media, that he did practice at some point today. But he's good enough to be back on the field. Now, if for some reason he's not able to go next weekend and the Cardinals lose, then we might not see JJ this season, which would be incredibly soul-crushing if that's the case, especially after everything that he did to get back on the field. So that's the scenario right now. I suppose it would be misleading to say that we will for sure 100% see him back on the field this season. But he is back on the practice field at minimum, and we, fingers crossed, will hopefully see him next weekend. That will guarantee that he'll be able to get in at least one more game with the Cardinals this year.
I'm going to make a prediction stating one thing, just 1 second, just so I can back this up. If I make it in the playoffs, which he's already in, I don't care what it takes. 1 shot, 2 shots, or whatever. I'm going to dress. You're going to put me on the roster.
That's
and I'm
right.
going to play. Bottom line, because I don't want to miss this moment. I came for the playoffs. And if it requires me just to run up field and be a body, I'll be that dude, because that's what I'm getting paid to do. That's what I waited to do. And I can't assume that what we're going to do in the first week of the playoffs is get me to the second week. I can't assume that. I'm going to do, and I would trust that JJ, that's this conversation coming up after the Seattle game. I would expect that to be the voice of conversation, or the voice that's speaking loud in the microphone saying, I'm playing. whatever it takes, I'm playing. I only got one shot, one game. I know there's 3 more games, but I can't assume that the next 3 games are on the table. I have to be there for my boys, and that's the only reason. That's the only way we're gonna ride.
JT says 99 is back. Spencer says number 99. #believe. Everybody, I think, has just been excited about this news today, regardless of whether or not, regardless of what happens here the next couple of weeks. But before we get to the playoffs and JJ Watt's potential return, the Cardinals have a game against the Seattle Seahawks to close out the regular season. We're going to preview this game, but first, Johnny, let's give you the platform to tell us what your DraftKings Sportsbook app pick of the week is.
Yeah, I'm going to double down. I put this out on our PHNX Bets Daily podcast, which is coming your way every day here at noon on our YouTube platform. If you're not checking that out, what are you doing? I picked a team that, listen, it's not so much that I'm high on the Washington football team at -7 against the New York Giants. It's the fact that the New York Giants, to me, look like the worst team in the NFL. They've all but quit on, I think, a lame duck coach in Joe Judge, who could be fired as early as Sunday night, making excuses, bad press conferences. I think Ron Rivera ends the season on a high note, swallow the -7, take it to the bank. This is a game I think that the Giants could very well be shut out. Talking about starting Mike Glennon at quarterback. So easy pick for me this week. I was tempted to take the Cardinals. Now we'll talk about that here in a second. The Cardinals line has gotten too big for me. But for this week, the last week, the regular season, take the Washington football team -7 against the Giants.
All right. Well, the Cardinals are 6-point favorites in this game. And again, we are going to get to that in just a moment. But there you have it, our DraftKings Sportsbook app pick of the week. If you download the app now using the promo code PHNX, bet $5 on any NFL team to win. You're going to get $200 in free bets if they are victorious. Again, that's using the promo code PHNX this week at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. As always, it's 21 and over, Arizona only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. All right, let's get to our Fridays 4 downs.
Whoop. Fridays 4 down. Fridays 4 down. Ooh. Oh.
It looks like there we go. Nope. We're looking at all these other Fridays 4 downs, and I'm not seeing our 4 downs that we're Oh, here we go. Here's the Seahawks one. All right. Cardinals would be NFC West champions with a win and a Rams loss. The Seahawks, on the other hand, they're already eliminated. Cardinals are heavy favorites to beat and to sweep the Seahawks. The Cardinals could have to rely on backup running backs because Chase Edmonds is officially out. James Conner is listed as questionable. They also have some other key injuries that we're going to talk about. And a player to watch, Chandler Jones, he has had the most success potentially out of any defender against the Seattle Seahawks in the history of the National Football League. He has had tremendous performances, and he could potentially be a guy to watch because he could have another big game against Seattle to close out the regular season. But let's begin with the Cardinals, just what's at stake for them. And we talked about it all week long. They can still win the NFC West if they win, and the Rams lose to the 49ers. And again, the Seahawks are already eliminated. So really, it's a battle between, the team that has nothing to lose and potentially will be Russell Wilson's last game. So you could say that they are going to go out with everything they've got, regardless of whether or not they're going to head to the playoffs. And then you've got the Cardinals, who are already in the playoffs, but would obviously like to keep themselves in the running to win the division.
Yeah, this could very well be Russell Wilson's last game as a member of the Seattle Seahawks organization. And if you think that this Seahawks team is ready to pack it in, I know it was against Detroit last week, but you should see the output of offense, at least, that they had, 50-plus points at home against the Lions. So I don't expect the Seahawks team to roll over, even though it is, to your point, Chierstin, the worst Seattle team statistically, win-loss record-wise, that Russell Wilson's ever been on. And it certainly feels like there are significant changes coming this offseason to that franchise. But, the Rams and the 49ers are all anybody's talking about this weekend for so many different reasons. And I think that is going to be a field goal game in the fourth quarter, one way or the other. The LA Rams have lost 5 straight games to San Francisco. Presumably, San Francisco is going to get back Jimmy Garoppolo in this game. The games kick off at the exact same time. So the Cardinals could do a little scoreboard watching. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals want to put together a nice little winning streak en route to the playoffs for whomever they play. And I know they could end up as the division winner. Or they could even be the 2 seed. But, they want to go into next weekend on a 2-game winning streak, beating 2 capable quarterbacks back-to-back. Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson. I think going 5-1, especially against the NFC West, division title or not, is a tremendous accomplishment. So while I'm a little bit concerned about some of the injuries, and we'll talk about that, I think this Cardinal team has everything to play for. And, I didn't feel great about it this time last week because of the Dallas game. But, man, I've got a weird sneaking feeling the Cardinals are going to end Sunday night with a division title. It just feels like that's where we're headed. All this momentum now with the Cardinals. And I know they haven't played well at home all year, but, if Kyle Shanahan and company can take care of business one last time to punch their ticket to the playoffs, I have a feeling we're going to see a really good Cardinal outing on Sunday afternoon.
Johnny, I agree with you a lot, and a lot of things that you just said. I agree that this game is a must win for the Cardinals. I think that this is something that they will show up for. But look at the weekend; like they got everything riding on it, and the 2 top dog teams that's in the NFC West between the Cardinals and the Rams right now got so much to fight for. Of course, Sean McVay wants to make this personal, and of course, Cliff wants to go against his homie and says, "I raised the banner out of the NFC division." That's just on the table right now. And if you got 2 weeks, you got 2 teams that's got to prove it against 2 other teams that really, honestly, is still really good. San Francisco has, with Deebo Samuels right now, they seem like there's nothing they cannot do as long as they keep getting the ball to him. And right now, Russell has found something in that offense with the running back Penny, as well as finding Metcalf, moving him around from the outside into the slot. So this is a really, really good weekend for some good football, whether it looks like one team has won a division or not. There's pride, and there is a little bit of braggadocious in the offseason when it comes to homies and your boy McVay and Cliff. And I think that Cliff is going to ride out into the sunset because your boy got the tattoo. I think he's going to show up with some good stuff. I believe the Cardinals will pull this game out versus the Seattle Seahawks. But one thing I will not take for granted is the fight and the will of Russell Wilson. I will not take that for granted. We should not take that for granted. Even if this is his last game there, he has so much respect for the organization, so much respect for his history. He will not lay an egg or come to Phoenix with the intent to lay an egg. He will have every intent to pull up a game plan or to play at a high level, because if he's competing for another 16 teams in the NFL, he still wants to earn $45 million a year that will state and put him as considered still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, Rashad Penny, you mentioned, is a weapon they didn't have the last time the Cardinals faced the Seahawks. And Russell Wilson wasn't the same quarterback the last time they faced each other either, coming off that finger surgery. And so you're never going to count Russell Wilson out. I don't care whether or not they're making the playoffs or whether or not they had a slump or not the Seahawks have passed. The offense, I wouldn't question. Their defense is suspect at best. And so I'm excited about the fact that Kyler looks like he got back on track and looked like the Kyler of old that we are expected to see. I'm a little concerned about the running back situation. We'll get to that in a little bit, but Kyler spread the ball around. He got a lot of guys involved. Antoine Wesley had his best game of his career, and they really got that offense back on track. So that excites me heading into this game to have the opportunity to exploit a defense that really ranks among the worst in the league. Johnny, you are muted.
That there's no Bobby Wagner. There's no, like you mentioned, Jamal Adams. They're missing the backup to Jamal Adams. Their safety depth will be tested this week. Carlos Dunlap, their best pass rusher, is questionable. So there is no reason that this offense should not get humming and build on what I think was a good performance against Dallas offensively. Not great, probably kicked too many field goals, but I think Chierstin, to your point, Antoine Wesley, significant weapon now on the outside that I believe are going to continue to feed. And if the Cardinals can get back James Conner, he was the difference in Seattle with Colt McCoy when they had that upset victory without Kyler Murray. To me, he is the key. If he is able to dress without the absence of Chase Edmonds, with the absence of Chase Edmonds, I like this offense to go off. I think this is a game. The over-under right now is 48. I would take the over because I do think, at the end of the day, it's hard to stop Russell Wilson. He's going to get his. But I think the Cardinals outlast the Seahawks offense, force them into enough mistakes. They just, something hasn't been right with them all year. So, we'll give our predictions later on, but I think you can expect a lot of points. And right now, this offense to me is going to build on what they did last week.
The only thing I would add to our offense and the difference, look, Spartan 7 is absolutely right. Look, Antoine Wesley got speed, length. I mean, the dude has it all in the package. It's good that we found out a way to get him the ball. Of course, unfortunately, D-Hop's not there, but I love the fact that he's taking the bull by the horn and trying to earn a position in NFL as a starting wide receiver. Will he be that guy next year? Maybe, maybe not, but we can move him around, but it's good to have him as a weapon. But I would just want to add this notation to a little piece what we were talking about a minute ago. I like to say that the difference in our offense the last week to this week and what will continually be how far we go is what we understood was that Kyler was mic'd up and he was vocal. He was more adamant about certain things that need to happen. And the guys heard that voice. They heard a leader in him, which we probably hadn't heard him speak at that level or with that kind of, veracity or just power. And the guys received that and responded to that. Of course, kicking field goals are never good, but to walk away with a win at the end of the game is pretty special. He is my, what do you want to call that, JV? He's that thing. He's that swinging back and forth needle to, say, yes.
Pendulum.
There you
Pendulum
go.
Is what you're looking for.
He's my pendulum. And I hope that he comes ready and he's swinging the right way and saying the right things because his voice needs to be heard and he needs to establish himself as, I am taking the Cardinals to the Super Bowl. And who with me is the statement that will follow behind that. I'm taking the Cardinals to the Super Bowl, who with me? And if they say we with you, then we know we got the team we want.
Why do I now all of a sudden have this picture in my head of Kyler Murray? Okay, have you guys seen the Miley Cyrus wrecking ball photo?
Yes, that's
him. But with Kyler Murray on the Why is my brain like this? I don't know.
It's a good brain to have, though. I see that though, because he's coming in like a wrecking ball. Yes, that's what he's trying to do. I mean, he needs some help though, because he's too, he's man of great stature. And he needs a wrecking ball. But look, I agree. And he needs to swing back and forth. But it's on him to take this team to the next level. We don't have this question about Aaron Rodgers. Why? Because he's vocal and he does what he needs to do and he says what he needs to say to his team. The guys rally around that. We look for the same thing out of our guy over in Tampa. Does the exact same thing. Tom Brady speaks and he performs. Kyler did that last week. He spoke and he performed. And we need that guy for 4 quarters of football. 4 quarters. Not 2, not 3. We need it for 4 quarters of football.
F-O, foe.
4. We need a dog. If it's going to be a dog fight, you need to go for 4, not 3.
Cardinals update asking, are you guys going to be at the game this weekend? Johnny, you are, right? Oh, Frank,
yes.
You are too?
I will be there. Signing autographs. I've been ambassador for the Cardinals this week. I'll be able to.
I didn't know that. That's cool. Man,
I'll be an ambassador for the Cardinals this week. So I'll be at the skybox level. Look, for you guys that cannot get there. However, but I will be at the game, and I'm looking forward to the moment, man, to be an ambassador. I will be with Neil Lomax. They told me that today.
Ooh, awesome.
Me and Neil Lomax will be the ambassadors on one side. I don't know if it's on the east or the west, but I'll be up there, shaking hands and kissing babies. And I'm going to run and come back and get ready for the party.
Man, I hope it's not. I know they haven't played well at State Farm Stadium this year, but I really hope it's not the last home game of the year. I don't think it will be, but I hope it's not.
We all hope that, but we shall see. That is TBD.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned that the Cardinals are favorites to win this game and reasons why they're favorites to win this game. But let's get into some of their injuries. Again, they could rely on backups. Ward and Benjamin. Chase Edmonds is officially listed as out, and James Conner is listed as questionable in this game.
Yeah.
So that situation scares me a little bit. We talked about it earlier in the week that, if you had one of those guys out, and we have experienced that a lot throughout the season, I'm totally fine with that. As long as you've got your 1A or your 1B out there, totally fine with it. I'm a little worried if you don't have either one of those guys, your third and fourth string guys are talented, but not guys that I want to be, either one of them want to be your feature back in a game for sure.
What's concerning, Chierstin, for me is, to your point, not having either, and then are we overly reliant on Jonathan Ward and Benjamin, who have not carried the rock consistently at the NFL level? And then also, even if James Conner is able to come back this week, was he preparing for a full load? Because remember, part of the reason he got shelved a little bit was because, we got to get Chase back and we got to get the tandem going. Because, I love James. He's a Pro Bowl running back this year, franchise records and touchdowns. It's awesome. But he got banged up in Pittsburgh because of overusage, and we were starting to see that. And then he goes down, and we bring back Chase, and we're like, okay, let's pair them back together. And now Chase is down. I just hope that if Eno's going to get significant reps this week, if he's in the game plan, then give him the ball. Do not give the ball to James Conner 30-plus times this week. Let him, manufacture yards between the tackles, give him opportunities in the red zone where he excels, right? But to me, this offense looked really explosive when they got a shifty back out on the perimeter with Kyler Murray using that RPO, especially in the fourth quarter last week against Dallas. Benjamin can be that guy. James Conner in between the tackles can still catch the football. I want to see balance. And, Chase has got a toe and a rib. That doesn't give me a lot of hope for not only this Sunday, but future Sundays heading into the playoffs. They need James Conner, and they need balance in the running game.
Sit them both at 1A and 1B because we have K1 who has decided to use his legs. So thank you for that in the RPO offense. That is something that we needed to bring to the table because defensive ends was rushing upfield. And if you didn't take advantage of those guys and what they were trying to do, we looked horrible. But last week we showed that Dallas tried to do the exact same game plan that the Rams had established, and the Detroit Lions followed right behind that. The coach did the exact same thing, but guess what? We went to Dallas. They tried it. We figured it out. K1 decided to use his legs. So I'll take him and anybody else. I'll take him and Johnny Venerable in the backfield.
Ooh, that was my high school position. So
see, come on.
Suit up. Both of us are going to be in the building. Should we suit up together? That would be bad for me.
That would be great for us because all we need is a 1 week check, and you and I both will be set, dog.
We'll be in good shape. Yeah.
I'll be okay with a couple of aspirins. I'll take some Aleve and a Toradol, so you and I both.
It's funny you say it. Somebody asked the other day, and it didn't ask me, but just it was posed like nationally on the radio. If you got a pitch in an NFL game, could you run fast enough just to straight line out of bounds without being destroyed? I have no confidence I would be able to do that. If Kyler Murray and I were just running a simple pitch play and he just tossed it to me and my job was just to dart to the sideline, I think I would be so dead I would not even get close enough.
Johnny,
you think you could do it, Chierstin?
John, this is what would happen.
No.
This is what would happen. Instead of running a straight line, you'd be so afraid you'll start running backwards and running.
That would be even worse because then I'm going to tear an ACL.
Look, they don't run to you. You can't just run out of bounds. You have to
that
run.
pursuit. It's the pursuit
It
angle,
is-
right?
it's
They're teaching that my 6-year-old that at flag football right now. The
Yes.
pursuit angle.
It is. Look, you have to get out of bounds to the water section, not the bench section, the water section. Because if you don't, they are running to get through you, not to you. So that's why a lot of guys get hurt because they don't pay attention. Johnny, that is a scary position.
I'm very scared.
When they're coming, it's scary. Chierstin, I cannot tell you how it feels, but it is the most petrified moment you have when you have someone chasing you, when you know you have 3 or 4 guys chasing you with the intent to do bodily harm.
I already know that if I was ever put in a situation like that, I would be screaming the whole way. Like as soon as the ball was hiked, I would start running, but I would be screaming. And if I happened to catch a pitch or whatever, and was able to try and make a play, I would be screaming from the moment the ball was hiked. Just yeah.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
But Frank, you did bring up a good point about K1's legs, and it made me think. I wish I would have thought about this before, so I could have actually crunched the numbers. But I feel like we've seen Kyler Murray pretty much since he came back from injury take off and run a lot more than the beginning of the season. And the beauty of that is that he's confident in his legs are so much more fresh than if he started that way week 1. And so I'm really excited about what we're going to be able to see from him, because that is what it makes him so special. And if he is willing and has the legs to do it here, whether it's the finale or we see that Kyler Murray, that dual threat guy in the postseason, the good part about it is he hasn't been doing it all year.
He brings balance to an offense that was getting stalemate, and they was figuring it out. And it was evident. Like the national media and a lot of the guys that have been there for us, you know, you can hear Keyshawn Johnson and a lot of guys talk. These are players, former players that know that your offense is getting stagnant and the team is trying to figure it out. Well, it showed that. But he became the conduit that says, because I wasn't running, you didn't expect me to run. Now I'm running, and now you have to play for both things. And I agree with you, Chierstin. That is absolutely what we need to happen. Look, he is what we need right now, and I'm glad that he has fresh legs. And he needs to understand that. We talk about this all the time, and I say this with all due respect. You have to figure out how they're trying to stop you, and once you figure that out, then it makes you that much better because you can make the adjustments. Once he figures that out, he's going to be hard to deal with across the board.
All right, let's get into our final down. But before that, want to talk to you about some more about what we're doing here at PHNX. If one of your New Year's resolutions was to look better, feel better, just forget the crazy gym workouts, the crazy diets. How about you just get some new gear to rep your teams instead? That seems like a lot less effort, right? You can sign up to be a member at gophnx.com, get a free one, and then also get deals on new gears as well. We were talking about JJ Watt. Don't forget that we do have our Maybe We're Just Effing Better JJ Watt inspired t-shirt up on the website, which was for many, many weeks one of our best sellers of all time on PHNXlocker.com. We also have stickers up on our website too, which are amazing. They are inspired by our t-shirt designs, just $5 for a sticker pack. They are a limited edition. Every one of them that you're seeing up on your screen right now, once they're gone, they are gone forever. So we've got a lot of great stuff on PHNXlocker.com. And listen, just dedicating yourself to being a better fan and representing your team better in 2022 is just a lot less effort than, the diets and the gyms.
I like buying new clothes instead of working out. Absolutely. I've got what I assume is the K1, Rise Up Red Sea shirt, but I've been told, no, it's not really Kyler. But it's just a head that looks like him. So I'm going to roll with that. But no, there's fantastic gear at our PHNX merchandise locker. I'll even double down. If you guys want to save some money on the front end while becoming a member of our family, $59.88 gets you a membership to our website, articles, social Discord, all that good stuff, exclusive content, exclusive PHNX content, and you get a free t-shirt in the process. So spend a little bit more up front, save a little bit down the line, get a t-shirt for the new year. You'll be in good shape.
And that's a yearly membership. So you're going to get 12 months
It is. Mm-hmm.
of a, yes. Awesome. Okay.
And if you're bold enough just to go get that tattoo, that PHNX
then
tattoo.
you don't have to pay for the membership. Yes. All right. Well, let's talk about a guy, as we're talking about Kyler Murray, the difference that he makes. JJ Watt could be coming back on the field next week, but a guy on defense that could make a big splash on Sunday against the Seahawks is Chandler Jones. He is just phenomenal against Seattle. He has 16 and a half sacks in 11 games, the most of any other NFL franchise in his career. 5 career multi-sack games against Seattle. 5 career multi-sack games against Seattle. 4 of those with the Cardinals. And then the last time these two teams met, he had 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. 4 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 for loss, and 3 quarterback hits, and as well as a forced fumble. So there you have it. This guy gets up, whatever it is, I don't know, but he is motivated when he takes on the Seahawks. And I would love to see another 2 sack, 4 tackle, 3 QB hits, and a forced fumble performance out of him.
He's on a little bit of a hot streak, and the box scores don't show it. He was robbed of a strip sack last week. I thought he played really well against Indianapolis. Are we sure Chandler Jones isn't going to be here in 2022? But that's a conversation for a different day. This is when you rely on your elite playmakers, your best players, your Buddhas, your Chandler Joneses to cap off a really strong regular season and your 12th win overall. Going against the left tackle Dwayne Brown for Seattle, who's been up and down, historically a great player, not great this year. And Russell Wilson is known to take more sacks than not. I think Chandler is just getting wound up. I thought he had a really good first half against Dallas last week. Not only the pressures, but he had several forced holding penalties on Tyron Smith. He had multiple tackles for loss in the backfield of Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. So if this is where we're going, and he's able to build on this momentum, kind of like the Cardinals in general. It's kind of like when Chandler goes, the Cardinals go in a lot of stretches. He's one of those lightning rod key players. Man, I can't wait for him and JJ Watt to be back along the same defensive line. But I digress. Hopefully that's next week. Chandler Jones, to me, he's got 9.5 sacks. I would be shocked if he didn't get at least 1 sack this year to get to double digits for a season that, I mean, it's been up and down. He had the COVID, I don't want to say scare. He was on the COVID reserve list and missed several weeks, came back, lost a little bit of weight. So it's taken him some time to get back. But hopefully now we're seeing the elite Chandler Jones, albeit 32 years old, ready to take off on the stretch run of football.
You always find that team that seems just to fit you. There's something crazy about it, whether you're a receiver versus a defensive back or a defensive coordinator. And the beauty of it is that whatever he has found out that they cannot do to stop him, he will probably try to institute that same game plan that he's been able to do and been able to accomplish. The NFL tries to play this one thing. I pay you a lot of money, Mr. Left Tackle, to stop their right defensive end. Do your damn job. Well, yeah, they failed at that. So therefore, whatever it is, whatever they keep trying to trust, I hope that my man CJ goes out there and balls out, that he comes up with, multiple sacks and pressures on the quarterback. We know that Russell he's a threat with his legs, and he will hold the ball. Johnny, you're absolutely right. He is a proponent to hold the ball a little longer, waiting for guys to get open, and he'll take that sack. The beauty that I do love about Chandler Jones is that they hustle to the ball. They don't quit. Yeah. They don't stop. It's not the best run defense on the planet, but the guys' defensive line mentality, they don't stop because they're trying to get the sacks. And so hopefully this is another week that he comes up and performs very well against a division opponent.
Do you guys remember the story of, I think it was like he had dug up old cleats from a game that like a really good game that he had against the Seahawks, and then wore them back in, I think it was week 11 when these two teams faced each other. And just like, that's the kind of stuff where it's like, that he gets excited against a team. I mean, you could sit there and say, like, the cliches, like, every opponent, we want to be 1-0 each week, and every opponent's the same. We just want to go out there and win. But for whatever reason, if Chandler is pulling out old cleats for superstitious reasons, and when he had a good game against a team and says, you know what, I'm going to wear these puppies and I'm going to dominate your butt again in them. Like, there's just something about it. And I love that. I hope that he can continue his success for that reason.
Johnny, is there something that we don't know, that maybe Paul Allen did something? Maybe there was something that happened with the general manager. Maybe they don't like Pete Carroll. Did they turn him down financially when he had an opportunity to get him and they chose somebody else? What happened? Maybe.
I think he knows that the Cardinals relish these games against Seattle. The division games, they just mean more at the end of the day, and he's played well in division games historically for this team. So I also think there's something to be said. Again, he finishes the season strong. Not many people are going to be thinking about those long stretches during the year of when he was going sackless, kind of his no-shows right. All we wanted to talk about after that Tennessee game was the 5 sacks, breaking the sack record. He was supposed to have the season TJ Watt's having. But, I know I already said this, but it bears repeating. If he ends the season in a dominant way, Cardinals can't let him leave. At minimum, they'll have to franchise tag him. Can you really let Hassan Reddick, then Chandler Jones, going back-to-back off seasons without a replacement in-house? I think Chandler Jones knows if he's able to put together a 3 to 4 game stretch of dominant play, and in the playoffs, it's about one of two things. And Frank, you know this. It's about protecting your quarterback and getting elite quarterback play and getting after the other team's quarterback. That's how Tampa did it last year with Todd Bowles and his defensive front. And then on the other side, Tom Brady's efficient play. That the Cardinals have the ingredients. I saw somebody make a good point today that it's a little bit of a hot take, but I would agree with it. I think JJ Watt, his arrival back on this team, assuming we get close to 100% JJ Watt, is even more of an addition than DeAndre Hopkins. And that's all due respect to DeAndre. I know it's a passing league. DeAndre is the top, 1 to 3 receiver in the NFL. But man, if you're able to get pressure consistently, you cannot put a price on that. You can't replicate it. And I'm excited to watch number 55 this weekend because I really do feel like it's a tune-up game for whether it's Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo or Dak Prescott.
Every game that a quarterback has lost in the playoffs has been because the defensive line has been able to get a hell of a lot of pressure on them. And there was nothing that they couldn't do. Every game that Tom Brady's lost has been because the defensive line was able to get a lot of pressure on him. And that's exactly what it takes. And Johnny, you're absolutely right. Get JJ back. CJ plays great. Guys come out and be a bunch of complimentary, great A+ or B+ players. Do your job, and then we can come away with a win. You're absolutely right.
The game is won at the line of scrimmage, quarterback line of scrimmage, and the Cardinals just got a huge bump. We've been cheated of Chandler Jones and JJ Watt all year. I think it's very deserved that we're going to get them both, knock on wood, come next weekend together.
Knock on wood. We will certainly be hoping that's the case. Big game either way for the Cardinals to close out the regular season. Johnny, you and Frank can potentially be part of history, or there to witness history, at least if it is Russell Wilson's last game with the Seahawks. So that'll be exciting for you guys to be out there to witness that. If you want to get in on some of the action as well, feel like you're even more part of the game, you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet some money on this game. Again, the Cardinals are 6-point favorites on the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. And if you're a new customer and bet $5 on any team to win their game, a la the Arizona Cardinals, if they do, you're going to get $200 in free bets. So wind down the season with a big win. Why not? DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. All right, guys, let's close this one out with our score predictions. Frank, go first.
My man Frank, kick us off.
31-24 Cardinals.
Very close to what I was going to say. I'm going to say 34-21 Cardinals.
I'm going to just go ahead and say 27-20 Cardinals. I think there's probably a good chance that they're going to score more than 30 points, but I'm just going to be conservative with it and say 27-20 Cardinals. But at least we're all on the same page with thinking that the Cardinals are going to walk away with a win.
Chierstin, you bring up a good point. They haven't scored over 30 points since the Chicago game. So it'll be the first time in a little while that they've been able to eclipse the 30-point mark. And they haven't played well at home all year. But I just think where this team is trending right now, they got some of their mojo back last week. I'm not sold on Seattle defensively. I think this is a breakout game for the offense. Last week, kind of a breakout game for the defense, special teams. This is Kyler in the offense this week.
Any final thoughts, Frank Sanders, Johnny Venerable, before Sunday's big game that you guys – I'm a little jealous now that I'm thinking about that this could be Russell Wilson's last game as a Seattle Seahawk. I like to be there for those kind of moments. It could be something kind of special. Obviously, if you're just a football fan and appreciate, just greatness in general. I know that everybody here in Arizona just very much dislikes the Seahawks and Russell Wilson. But he's been a phenomenal quarterback. They've had a lot of success together there in Seattle. And it's just one of those things where you'll have a story for the rest of your life. And I think Cardinals fans, if it is his last game as a Seahawk, can at least somewhat appreciate the good matchups that these two teams have had throughout the years, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I like the fact that, we get to watch some of the best quarterback play in the NFL. It's hard. The NFL has repeatedly tried to bring in a bunch of first-round draft pick quarterbacks from college that either won the Heisman or they were up for the Danny O'Brien Award, and they got to the NFL and struggled. Well, we've been blessed to find Seattle's been blessed to find a quarterback that was not one of the top in the NFL, and they brought him in, but they got a player, and he's a player. I think we have the same thing on our field. He's learning how to be a player for Heisman Trophy winner in Kyler Murray. And I just believe this is something where it's not necessarily the changing of the guards, but it is something where the ability to learn and have seen how it's done on the NFL level. You have to be a leader. You have to use all skill sets, no matter what your size is. You have to be able to use your legs and your arms, but more importantly, you have to understand how to think the game of football where you get everybody involved and learn how to be a winner. I think that's something that Kyler gets a chance to kind of learn and see, and probably that's my final thought on the game. I think if Russell's not there anymore, you can take that information and say, Kyler got better from seeing what it looks like as a quarterback with all the tools that we're similar in nature and size, but I had to learn other things from you that just can't be taught.
Well said, Frank.
Well said, Frank. All right. Well, I hope you guys and all of our listeners have a fantastic weekend. We will see everybody on Sunday at the Perch for our post-game show to recap it all. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts, as well as follow us on social media at PHNX_Cardinals, we would appreciate if you would do that. Have a good weekend.